What you see in front of us, Xtract Universal Designer. Um, for the two line items that you see in front of me, that's what we categorize as an extraction in general. All extractions are made up of three things. It's going to be a source where we're pulling from. As you can see here, I have two different separate ones. One source is for ECC or EC5. The other one is going to be for OData. The next thing that we need within this extraction process will be an actual type. So as you can see, we have one type for table CDC, which Tyler just mentioned, how we're going to trigger certain things on tables for change data capture. And then the other one is for this specific webinar for ODP OData. Last but not least, destination. Where are you going to be pushing this to? I'm just going to utilize for this webinar and demonstration purposes just a standard CSV file to showcase that as well. Those three things make up extractions in general, and I'm going to be able to get into first and foremost what that looks like for our ODP framework in which we had before. So if I go to EC5 and I label this test and I pull up for ODP, it immediately brings up the ability to go over RFC. Again, this is what we talked about earlier with the OData side of things. So I can change the source to S4 or to EC5 or BW. But again, this is not what is permitted from the OSS node. Just wanted to showcase this, that as we had it before, all of our providers are available here within this one component, as well as these source objects, again, which is no longer permitted. So as we adhere to the way that SAP wants us to do things, I would just press OK, get out of this, can easily delete this from our UI, and then move forward with the permitted way of doing things, which will be through this one that I have, webinar ODP for these OData services. So as you can see here, once we bring this up, if I press search, I can easily search what service I want to look for. Specifically, I'm going to use Z for a customer service that I have available. I can utilize any of these services here to move forward. So what I will do is just utilize this one just for the time being. As it loads, it'll give me the availability for delta tracking or change tracking here, which I can validate. And then I can also edit selections for what I want for specific values for each of these materials or fields. So I can choose all fields. I can choose the relevant or respective fields that I want to bring through. And then once I do that, as I have the name, the descriptions, and I can edit these selections, I can then load that preview. We have a bunch of extraction settings as well to limit package sizing as you're moving forward with this general extraction for ODP over OData. You can even implement some runtime parameters if you needed to. And then here's a cool way of understanding and mapping out these subscriptions that we have. If it ever grows out of control or in any way, you can utilize this terminate subscription to stop the tracking on that to move forward. This is what it looks like for the ODP side. Over OData services to be compliant and adhere to this SAP note that Tyler and I are speaking about today.
Hey, Brian, can I ask you a question here?
Sure.
Can you show us maybe a summary of your SAP source connections that you have defined here in
Sure.
Xtract Universal?
So as I go to server and I manage my sources, you can see the sources here that we're pulling from on the SAP side. The best thing about seeing it from this window is that you understand the type. So we have BW, ECC, and S4 all as a RFC type. And then we have the OData services specifically listed here as OData. I would love to drill into this, to the configurations, but just from a security standpoint, can't really expose those endpoints here.
Okay, so the one you showed us briefly that you deleted was using that EC5 and S4 sources, and you can see here those are type RFC.
Mm-hmm.
They were using the OData component and RFC, which is why you no longer wanted to utilize that.
Correct. Just wanted to showcase what it looked like before, where everything was. But again, being able to showcase on the back end that we still have all of those providers available within different tools as well as those source objects.
Okay. And then what you just showed us was the same OData capability. However, that's using this OData source, and the type is no longer RFC, but now you're going through the OData protocol.
Correct.
Great.
Correct.
Perfect. And then that's a summary. That's basically the focusing on ODP objects.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you can show us some examples for other ways, we mentioned in some earlier slides, there's alternative methods other than just going to the ODP and using an ODP provider. What are some other methods that a customer might have to get the needed data?
I think just with time, as we are just halfway through, I think it'd be cool to showcase change data capture. Before change data capture, I'll run quickly into just a standard table. So as I utilize this for test, and we're going to go to this table component as we spoke about earlier. With this table component, I can validate pulling information from transparent tables. For this one, it would be a sales document or header data from this table, VBOC. What I can do is add relevant fields that I want to pull into this data. I can count how many rows that will be extracted. Right now, just over 11,000 rows. And if I wanted to fully drill into this also, within this where clause, I can filter down to specifically what I wanted to pull to limit out unwanted data from this extraction pool. As I do that, I can go back to where our tables and fields are. Some tables in SAP are related. So to this header data table, I can also add a table respectively that has the line item data. That'd be VBOP. Easily include this line item data here. I can grab other information that is not available to me in the original table. And then what I can do here is simply create a where clause that limits some of the information being pulled. So I can specifically have a where clause on the date on which record was created. I can make sure that it's either equal to or greater than, let's say, the first of the year of 2020. As we count our rows now, as we can see, we have gone from just over 11,000 rows to now 349 rows because of this filter. I can load that preview just in case I wanted to see it before landing it to my destination. I can create specific runtime parameters while doing this, as well as extraction settings with my row limit, specifically how many rows I want to extract, package size. If it's a large volume of data, I can execute this within packages. Right now, it says the package will be at 50,000. And then also I can validate, as we spoke earlier, going over the RFC protocol, I can validate which function module I want to utilize to perform this. We do advise that specifically for this demonstration with joining these transparent tables, the field read table is probably going to be the best one to do so, as it's more performant than any of the standard SAP tables or other custom ones.
Yeah, that's an important point, Brian. So with this table component you see here, large volume polls are going to be are going to work well for you as compared to doing a poll over the OData protocol.
Correct. And that's why we said it's more performant. That's why we've continued to utilize these for other components. But again, just wanted to adhere to the note that SAP released to us. So I can press OK. If I was to run this extraction, I will be good to go to run it and extract that information and send it over to our CSV destination. Specifically, if you are mentioning change data capture, it'd be our tool called Table CDC. As I have one built here now, I can quickly transition into it. Just a couple of things as we take a look at this specific window or dialog screen that has popped up. This is going to be for change data capture. So what we are doing is we are placing a trigger on this specific table, KNA1. And as you can see right here where it says CDC info, the state of this trigger on the table has been initialized, meaning we have run this table. So there was a few steps that I've gone through before we get to this window. The few steps are just running this extraction after building it out to a standard CSV file, which then places an initialization or trigger on the table that we're going to be pulling from. So what this means is that any changes, updates, deletes that happens to this KNA table, KNA1 table from here on out will be specifically showcased within our results as we run this table in the Xtract Universal tool and then send it to destinations. So again, this is initialized within the state for the table KNA1. As you can see for the configuration window, I did not elect to extract the table on the first run. So as I have run this before, it has run for me with 0 rows extracted. As we run it now with this preview, what you should see is that there are going to be 2 rows that are going to be extracted successfully, showcasing changes to 2 different customers. I do see that we have a question. Did you want to jump into the question now, Tyler, or should we just?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and finish up with this part, and then we'll touch on those in just a moment.
Excellent. Just a few things within the fields. Right now I have all fields selected. What that means is that all fields will be brought into my preview window. However, if I was just to select 1 or 2 fields, that's what I can immediately see. It does not mean that's not going to be tracked based off the table that we put the trigger on. Just wanted to make sure that was clear as we move forward. So as I press OK and validate, this is the same extraction that we're running, and actually run this extraction, we'll now again see the 2 successful rows that we talked about. If I look into the output, which is a really cool tool or feature for our tool as well, is that you can see the output that will be sent over to the destination of your choosing. I can scan over and see the 2 customer numbers here that I've updated. I can specifically see the operation in which what happened to this specific customer. U indicates update, I indicates insert, and D indicates deletion or deleted. So as you can see, I updated these 2 customer numbers or customer records. Here are the names of the information. And again, this is the information or the fields that I brought in at the table level that I wanted to see. If I brought in all of the fields, you will relatively see all of the fields listed here within this output window.
Yeah, and so basically what happened, Brian, was when you clicked run, it started the query. It found the two records that have changed since the last time you ran this. I mean, in this case, this was all just ad hoc manual to show in the tool, but in practice, our customers would have this automated to run every day, every hour, every 10 minutes, so that you don't have to come in here and click run every single time.
Exactly. As you said, if let's say I just made the changes, 15 minutes later, there aren't any changes. If I was to run the same extraction, it should come up successful again with 0 rows extracted because there have not been any changes since we last run it. And we're doing so on our extraction window for runtime or running this extraction. We do have a couple of options for you in regards to, like you said, automating and triggering these extractions, whether it be through URL or executable.